Welcome to the Popish Plot. I'm Nate.
I'm Jessica.
And I'm Mike.
And today we're here with another one of our Hispanic Heritage Month saints. Mm-hmm. We are going to be discussing St Teresa of Jesus of Los Andes.
And this is that rarest of saints.
Okay.
A Carmelite named Teresa. It's so rare, you never hear of this.
Yes, yes. In fact, it's so rare that we all, in honor of this episode, took off our shoes so that we may, much like her...
We are discalced.
It's true.
All right. So, she was born July 13th in 1900.
Now, pay attention to these dates, because they're important to the story.
In Santiago, Chile. And died April 12th, 1920. In Los Andes, Chile. Which, apparently, that was Holy Week that year.
Nice.
Well, if you're gonna go at a time, I mean, Holy Week is really one of the better ones.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and for the dates, she was 19 years old at the time.
Yep.
I'm gonna have someone read her birth name because it takes a line and a half, and it's all in Spanish. So.
Okay, so my apologies to anybody whose language I offend in doing this, but
He's Dutch.
It's
I did my Spanish homework in French, so you know.
I'm doing it all for the likes. Or the comments.
Juana,
Enriqueta, Josephina, de los Sagrados, Corazones, Fernández, Solar. But apparently they called her Juanita for short.
just as they call me Mike and they call him Nate.
Yes. She is the patron against disease and illness for ill people, young people, in both Santiago and Los Andes, because, of course, you know, the cities you're from.
Indeed.
She was beatified in 1987 in Chile and was canonized in 1993 in the Vatican.
Oh, 6 years apart. That's, you know.
And in church terms, you know, she was canonized only 73 years after she died. That's pretty quick.
Mm-hmm. She was born to an upper-class family. She was the fourth out of 6 children. She was taught by French nuns from the Sacred Heart Order.
So she did her Spanish homework in French, too.
Maybe. She went to school from 1907 to 1918. Mm-hmm. It was known that she enjoyed singing, dancing, playing croquet, tennis, swimming, playing the piano, and the harmonium, which apparently is a type of pump organ.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So much like a accordion, or
I think it was actually like an organ that had like there was mention of like reeds and stuff. I don't know exactly.
Okay, interesting.
But although she had a very short life, she heard her call to holiness very young. Mm-hmm. There's a quote from her diary when she was about 6-ish that says, it was shortly after the 1906 earthquake that Jesus began to claim my heart for himself.
Wow.
Yes, and she's one.
When I was 6, I was clueless.
Yep.
When I was 6, I was wondering about dinosaurs.
Because they're awesome.
Mm-hmm. But apparently, in her short life, there isn't a lot of actual things to say. You know, she did this. Mm-hmm. She didn't go out and, you know, feed the hungry and clothe the poor. But
she didn't have a chance.
Well, yes. She got done with. I mean,
she was 19.
But I'm just saying, she essentially got to about the 11th grade, and a year later.
Yes, but she is one of those saints that her story is that she essentially had a love affair with Christ, and everything she did was, you know, with that in mind. Mm-hmm. So she did tons of young teen stuff for the time, but even the friends are like, she had a joy about her and was always talking about how great God was.
Well, again, a happy teenager. Why? Because she knew Jesus.
Yes. At age 10, and this is another thing I'm sure you didn't do at age 10, she decided that she was going to acquire all the virtues and transform her character because her first communion was coming up.
You are correct. I did not do that when I was 10.
Yeah, no.
I just went through the motions before my first communion.
In fairness, my first communion was when I was like almost 30 years old, so, you know.
Yes.
I was in a completely different headspace.
I mean, sources have, pointed out that she still occasionally had issues with her temper. There's, stories of, when her sister slapped her and she got mad, which, I mean, they're sisters. But still, she was really trying.
Jesus asks us to be holy. He doesn't ask us to be inhuman.
Mm-hmm. And at 10, for her first communion, she was also given the grace of essentially interior visions. And
nice.
Mm-hmm. So, in 1914, she decided she was going to become a shoeless Carmelite.
I hate shoes!
And not just because I can't say the word that they're called.
Discalced.
Thank you. Of course...
She really can. She was saying it earlier. She just has performance anxiety.
She, of course, read the autobiography of St Teresa of Lisieux, as all, of the Teresas do.
Mm-hmm. Which was a new book then.
But she was also greatly affected by the fact that she had a private revelation of Jesus telling her to join this order and grow in holiness.
That's pretty nice. What should I do? And Jesus just appears to you. Do this. Great!
Her sister...
That was easy.
Her sister, Rebecca, was also a nun in the same convent, and her name might be Teresa of the Divine Heart. It was really, like, how it was worded, I couldn't tell if they were calling Teresa of Jesus also Teresa of Divine Heart, or her sister Rebecca as that, so...
Yeah, sure, it gets confusing.
Because everyone's named Teresa.
Well, again, story of a soul, Therese of Lisieux, also known as Therese of the Child Jesus and the Holy Face. Mm-hmm. So... could you refer to her just as Therese of the Child Jesus or Therese of the Holy Face? No. There's lots of names going on here.
No, you can't split those ones up. You gotta put them both together.
Oh, I've heard her called just the Child Jesus before. I've never heard her called just the Holy Face.
Because that would be weird.
I know.
But anyway, so...
No offense to St. Veronica.
Her sister was also a nun, possibly also called Teresa.
Yep.
Not sure on that.
All the Teresas.
As she entered into the convent, she started a thing where she wrote letters, sharing thoughts on her spiritual life. That was like her own personal little thing.
Did she send the letters out?
Yes, she sent them out.
Wow.
It appeared to be something that people actually wanted to hear what she had to say because, again, she...
So that was her apostolate.
Yeah. She appeared to be a pretty normal kid who was only, super interested in being holy.
And had an incredibly rich interior life.
Yes. She either contracted typhus or Spanish flu, or possibly she got typhus and that made when she got Spanish flu worse. Mm-hmm. It's one of those things, if you read about that time, there was a lot of secretness about people getting sick from Spanish flu because it was, war times and stuff.
Yeah. That's why it's called Spanish flu. The disease did not originate in Spain. It was not even particularly virulent in Spain. But most of the rest of the world was at war, and thus subject to wartime censorship, whereas Spain was a neutral country. They still had relative freedom of the press, so there were lots of stories out of Spain, but it didn't come from there, and it wasn't worse there than anywhere else.
Yes. So officially, like, the Vatican one says that it was typhus, but other ones say, it could have been either.
Could have been the influenza, or both.
Yeah.
Sure.
So she was allowed to make vows, and as this is in Latin, someone read for me.
In articulo mortis.
Which means essentially she's going to die anytime, so she was 6 months early on taking her vows. And she was, again, only 19. But they let her do it because they're like, she's not going to survive. So.
And in fairness, she wasn't going to make it those 6 months because that was 5 days before she died.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, it makes sense that they let her go early. For example.
Plus, she's been trying to get holy since age 6, so, she's probably,
she got a
light years above
a running
half the
start.
nuns.
Yeah. Well, it's like, there are several saints, Jesuit saints, who are only seminarians, because your formation as a Jesuit is 11 freaking years before you're fully.
Yes, and as of, when she turned 15, she started making personal vows for things like chastity, which
She was a good girl.
I find it odd, because, her first one was for 9 days, and she's a 15-year-old who's super religious. I'm like, is this a problem? I imagine that easily you can make 9 days.
Well, no. But she was going for total chastity. So not having a single unchaste thought for 9 days. That'd be pretty impressive.
That would be pretty impressive.
For a 15-year-old. Look, it depends on where are you setting the bar for chastity.
Yeah, they didn't note that it was a super, the high bar, just in general chastity.
But she's also she's also an unmarried 15-year-old, so being chaste should not be that difficult.
Yes, especially a century ago when they were much more strict on the.
Well, and her parents were keeping an eye on her.
It's not like she was fighting the culture. At least to the extent of.
Maybe they just didn't want to, really kind of. I don't know how to put it. Maybe they just didn't want to make those people who were older and trying to go for reasonable distances of time feel really bad. And like, well, she managed to do it for like 3 years. No, you're complaining about having to do it for 30 days.
I'm going for the high bar. This girl did not compromise.
Plus, another one of her faults that, family members noted was that she was stubborn. So maybe she was given a vision saying, try for 9 days, knowing full well that she would make it. Anyway, she was the first saint of Chile.
Nice.
She was the first Discalced Carmelite outside of Europe sainted. But she was the 5th Teresa of the order to be sainted. And, much like other Teresas, her nickname is the Flower of the Andes.
They're all flowers.
All of them. Every one. Except for, of course, the original, who'd probably punch you in the face for calling her a flower.
Yeah, after Theresa of Lisieux, they're all flowers. So many Discalced Teresas. Teresas hate shoes. What can you do?
I'm now thinking about my godmother, who's named Teresa, and I'm like, she was one of those households where you took your shoes off when you went in.
Boom. A Discalced Teresa. She's not under vows. No, but see, this is particularly impressive, and it shows that all people are called to holiness. Just a couple months ago, in the Catholic T-shirt was Saint Dominic Savio, who for a long time was the youngest canonized saint who wasn't a martyr. There is none of us, not a child, not an old person, who is not called to holiness and who is not given the grace to achieve holiness. And it is the people who cooperate with God in an extraordinary way that then get us giggling about them in episodes.
Yes.
I just laugh about all the not shoes and
Absolutely.
Teresa's.
Absolutely.
So maybe you'll be
next.
next.
There's so many of them.
Like, it's not even like Teresa's a biblical name as far as I know.
Nope.
Just one was Teresa, so now we all have to be.
Yep. Although, again, it's kind of a twofold thing, because most of them seem to be after Teresa of Lisieux. There's like an explosion of them. She's after Teresa of Jesus, but then, Teresa Benedicta, her conversion is because of Teresa of Jesus, and it's a multi-layered thing.
I know, and it is something having read both of those Teresas.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like Teresa Lisieux's work all that much, but
it'd be too saccharine for you.
For that time,
yep.
That was like it. Like, I'm sure all the Christian people were like, look, it's something we can read, and it's so holy, and it's so interesting, and I'm like, all right, this is 5 pages on cake.
So comment below on your favorite Teresa and your favorite Discalced saint. That's a trick question because they'll be the same person.
There's John of the Cross.
While you're at it, if you have a saint of, I believe, Hispanic heritage.
Yes, that's what this month is.
Please feel free to mention that down in the comments. Maybe you'll have one that we should go and do, or maybe you'll recommend one that we're already doing, and it'll feel like you recommended it to us.
Great minds think alike.
Yeah. While you're down there, make sure you hit the like button, because it's not a bad thing to do. Hit the subscribe and that bell next to it so you get notified when new episodes come out.
Like because you like not liking shoes.
Yes. If by some chance...
Or your name is Teresa.
if by some chance you're one of those party poopers who's going to give us a dislike, remember our rules. You have to go down to the comments and tell us why.
Dislike because you really like shoes. If you think everyone needs more shoes, not less. Dislike if you're Imelda Marcos.
Is she dead?
I don't know.
So many shoes that looked all the same.
Anyways.
Plain pumps. Oh.
Remember, until next time, to live your faith.
Love your faith.
Share that love.